Follow up on BRICS gold for the Duran boys. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters. And a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, I did a video on the BRICS for the Duran guys because they were having the big meeting and they were talking about bringing a new currency out. The currency didn't happen, but they added new members. And these guys are pretty close to, I think, what's going on, especially if you've been listening to Alexander for the last few days. He keeps on saying that India are going to trade in their own currency. Russia keeps on telling everybody that they're going to trade in their own currency. And I think what everybody's not getting is that I think they've come to an arrangement where they will trade in their own currency and anything that's left over will be taken down to the Shanghai Gold Exchange and exchanged for gold. And I had an exchange with a Canadian gold miner on this video, and he sees the same thing going on up in Canada with going north as in what's going on in Western Australia with all this undiscovered potential up north. It's just really cold and, it's prohibitive. The cost is quite high. So as the price rises, more of those jobs will come online. It's the same thing here in Australia. As the price goes up, the more mines open up. But this pretty much sums up what I think will happen. I think that, Canada will be part of it too. The gold exchange will swap for other currency. So whatever currency that you've got left over after trading with anybody in BRICS, they swap it for gold. The big caveat on this is that you can't take your own currency down and swap it for gold. You can only take other members' currency down and swap it for gold. That's the only way you'll be able to keep it honest, but that would be the only big caveat I put on it. But apart from that, I think that's how they're going to solve the problem. So if you use the Indian rupee as an example, they've been buying a lot of Russian oil with Indian rupees. What do the Russians do with the rupees? Well, they take them down to the Shanghai Gold Exchange and exchange it for gold. And then what happens to those rupees? Well, the Shanghai Gold Exchange sends them to the development bank, and the development bank issues that back to India in development loans, and then the development bank issues currency back as yuan, which is then used to trade for more Australian gold or Canadian gold or wherever they're importing the gold from. That's the way that I think that they're going to move forward with all this. I think that it's the easiest way of doing it rather than create a currency, and then that way everybody gets to use their own currency and even strengthen it, because there'll be the more people the more countries that they bring into it, the bigger the expansion is. And the beautiful thing about the whole thing is that it doesn't go near the US dollar at all for them. So they get to trade internally as long as they agree on a price. It won't be the price that the gold's at now, but as we saw when Russia set the price of gold in early 2022, when the sanctions got brought in, pretty much whatever, whoever's dishing out the most gold, so in this case it would be the Shanghai Gold Exchange, so whatever they agree with the BRICS countries that's going to be the rate, that will end up being the rate for all around the world quite quickly. And so they'll set the rate and that'll be what it is, and it'll just go from there. And they will source the gold from places like Australia. If you haven't seen the video on that, have a look at that. I'll show you where they're going to source all the gold from. And like my Canadian friend here says, there's a lot of mines in Canada. They've got a lot of potential that they're going to be able to source gold from as well. So that's my theory, what they're going to do. Instead of going to a currency directly, all member countries of BRICS are going to be able to take any leftover currency they have of any other country that they've been trading with down to the Shanghai Gold Exchange and swap it for gold. So I hope that answers a question. That's what I think is going to happen. It gets frustrating. I listen to these guys pretty much daily. They're really good on with what's going on in the world. And Alexander keeps on saying it all the time that the Indians are going to trade in their own currency, and even the Putin was telling the Turkish Prime Minister or the President that he could trade in his own currency with BRICS. And I think that's what they're getting at. They're getting at the fact that everybody can use their own currency. currency, and whatever you got left over that you can't use back in the other direction, you can take it down to the Shanghai Gold Exchange and exchange it for gold and take the gold home instead. But like I said, the big caveat that I would put on that would be to make sure that you don't have any, you can't take your own currency down and swap it out yourself. So I hope you found that information helpful, and if you've got any questions that you'd like answered about how the industry works, please send them through, and if you could share this video around and like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.